Fanspeak, where the plan runs deep. The team grind hard, don't eat, don't sleep. From best ball dreams to DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Meg and Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
Welcome back to another Best Ball Lunch Break. This is another episode of Talking Ball. Steve speaking. Yes, some of you, as you saw on Twitter, it is my birthday. Underdog did me right, and they released Superflex. So what a birthday gift. We all know I love Superflex. I'm excited to rip some Superflex drafts today, get in these streets, and we'll talk about the tournament first and just talk about a little Superflex strategy before we get into it. But before that, let's hit up chat. We got Mike Rob, Game Face on, Steve, Meg checking in. Happy birthday. Appreciate that. Been waiting on this. Scatavoo. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Nothing better than Superflex for a birthday gift. We got Whoheems checking in. Whoheems is another Superflex diehard. So I'm sure he's been in these streets all, since it launched. We got Harry Doyle in here, GM. Meg with the birthday shout. Pepper Tony, appreciate that. Thank you guys. Max, every Superflex, I'm planning on it. Absolutely good to see you game tight. There's a birthday senior center interest joke out there for your birthday. I'll let the chat play Mad Libs with their own heads. Sorry, I was running a little late. But it all good now. And yeah, let's get into the draft. Appreciate everyone for being in here. JT, Missy, Jamie, Fantasy Football Espanol. Great draft for Watson. Yeah, that news came out. At least Mary Kay Abbott believes that Watson is the inside track. I could still see a lot changing between now and the season, and we'll see what Mulkin believes. But yeah, they're paying this guy $80 million or whatever this year, so why not see what you got there? So before we talk a little bit Superflex strategy, let's look at the contest first. It launched yesterday. It was after I finished stream. Was it maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock? I can't remember the exact time it launched. And oh, come on, Underdog. Refresh. So they released the Field General, which is interesting because last year, in years past, they definitely just did Superflex tournaments, but a version of a regular tournament, whether it's the puppy, whether it is the German Shepherd, whether it, in years past they've done a Superflex, the $10 fast draft. Can't remember what it's called right now. But this year, it might be creating their own kind of Superflex, lane, like clear lane. And this $3, 186,000 plus entrance, 500K in prizes. And what is interesting about this is 212, 1 of 8, and 1 of 6, 646 seed final. So I think once again we are seeing Underdog changing to more user-friendly advance rates, even in some of their flagships, but also like more lotto style, like massive tournaments. Because the 186,000, this is very similar to what the Pomeranians were. Those were 20 max, $3 last year for Underdog, but those I believe were 1 of 10, 1 of 10. So 646 person final, 100K up top. We have 7 prizes of 10K or more, and the finals is you only get 100 back to make finals. I get it. Not everyone's going to like that, but I'm okay with it. We talked about this the other day with the puppy. Like, for a smaller thing, going all in, whether you're maxing, whether you're doing 50 entries, 20 entries, 20 entries, you'd obviously be covered. But it's okay to have a finals that has if you want this lotto style. Now, if they do like a German Shepherd, now that was $100 make final. But I'm saying, like, some smaller tournaments, I would hope that they would still do that, get your money back to make finals. But for something like this, to even if you max, is $50, and yes, you would have to get a team into the top 50 to cover that, at least one. But there are definitely ways where you could have, a team in the top 100, and then a bunch of others, like another finals or two, and then just what you advance. So I don't know. I personally like this style. I'd rather have the good advance rates. I'd rather have those more bullets for the chance to win, whether it's 100K, whether it's 10K, whether it's 2K, on a $3 entry, especially something in Superflex, which I do think, I have a bit of an edge. The last 2 years. 2 years ago, I had 3 Superflex Finals teams. Last year, I had 1. So it is a format I really like. I've had some success with it. I've not finished at the top, but I've had some success getting there, and I just want more chances end of the day. We got Steve McDivitt in here also. Happy birthday, Steve. Appreciate that. So we will get into a Superflex tournament first, but before we do, just some basic difference in strategy. Going back to this is, it is a 20-round draft. So similar to pre-draft, we have the same number of starting positions, but they are different. And it comes down to the Superflex. We have, our quarterback, our 2 running backs, our wide receiver, or our flex, our tight end. Instead of 3 wide receivers, one of those gets moved to the Superflex. That's a big deal. One, quarterbacks are just, even bad quarterbacks are going to score more than a lot of wide receivers. I don't think we account for that as much in this. Like, even, I'm not a big Deshaun Watson guy, but if he is the starter, he's going to be outscoring quite a few wide receivers. If you look at last year, in terms of points per game, and yes, overall points matter, but we had, quite a few quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, let's use him as like the litmus test. He averaged 14.6 points per game. Not many wide receivers, and more, but not as many running backs are doing that. That, by the way, that 14.6, that's essentially Trey McBride. That is your number 1 tight end. And I just think, an acknowledgement of what that means and what the value we can get. Like, having you want Aaron Rodgers filling your Superflex. You want, Cam Ward. You want Kirk Cousins if he's starting. You want to do the double Raiders combo, Cousins and Mendoza. They are going to hit your Superflex position way more than your 3rd or 4th wide receiver. And so because of this, a couple things. One, tight ends are devalued even more because the chance that tight end hits your flex or Superflex is even going to be less. Running backs maintain pretty high value. Receivers are devalued more because we only need to start 2. So if you take 2 in the first, 7 rounds, and because ADPs are vastly different, you're probably getting 2 really good ones, and those can be your like double anchor wide receivers for the entire year. Of course, you're still adding more. Of course, you're going to fill out a full roster and have depth for, sometimes they will hit your flex, sometimes they will hit your super flex, but the less that they do, the better. And by having your quarterback hit the super flex essentially every week, hopefully, then that means your running back scores are going to be better. And your wide receiver scores should be better because you're only needing those top 2 scores. So I personally think building out for the quarterback is the best way to go. You can go 3 quarterbacks in a row to start. I like having 3 in the top 5 top 6 is kind of where it seems to be at this year. You could, push to top 7, but then I think you gotta get more creative. There's definitely ways to do it. And the other thing with Superflex I want to mention, this is a great contest to handcuff your quarterback. Whether you have Jaden Daniels and take Marcus Mariota, Joe Burrow and take Joe Flacco, Brock Purdy and take Mac Jones. Like, handcuffing your quarterback is so strong in this format. Not just for the situations like the Browns or the, a team like the Raiders, who it's more up in the air, but just about any team you can make a case for. Now, not every team do we have a clear number 2 quarterback right now, so I'd be a little bit more wary on some of those situations. Like right now, we don't know who the Steelers' number 2 is going to be. Even if we're betting on Aaron Rodgers, which I think we should, it could be Will Howard, it could be Drew Aller. But in situations where we know the clear number 2, we should be taking them most of the time. There was times I took Malik Willis last year, and unfortunately it wasn't on my finals team because that was the week he went off, but how great would it have been to have Malik Willis, that 30-point game that he had against the Ravens. The Joe Flacco games, Marcus Mariota had a couple of okay games, but Mac Jones, absolutely. Tyrod Taylor had a couple of good games before he went down. So just something to really keep in mind. And we'll talk about more definitely throughout. We'll be doing a lot more of these, but let's jump into one and we can talk it through as we go. I'm going to count it down. I'm going to enter in 10 seconds, and in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So it looks like we filled. See Aiden in here. I definitely see names I recognize, like Shoddy and Polo, Fresh, Ladies First. If you're in chat, please let me know. Sweetleaf's in here. Good to see you, Sweetleaf. If you're in chat, let me know. Definitely, if you're a Fanspeak member, let me know so I can review the team. But good luck to everyone. And one of the reasons I like Superflex is simply, I don't think people generally draft this well. I think they push quarterbacks too much. I think they over prioritize receivers. Like, even if you're okay taking quarterbacks, you should still be prioritizing running back over receiver. Running back scoring more points. And if you don't want if your quarterback's not going to fill your Superflex, you better hope it's your running back, because that's the best way to compete against teams that do have strong quarterbacks continuously hitting their Superflex. So for me, I don't know if I'd take a single receiver in the first round. I think quarterbacks, a couple running backs, make the most sense. As much as I love Jamar Chase, you're not getting a stack with it, so you can't even use that as the rationale. And B, it's just not worthy. Like, now, if you're at the back end, could you maybe say Chase or Puka if you wanted to, or Jason? Sure. But I just think you're better off taking the quarterback. We'll go Joe Burrow here. Just kind of keep it simple. I think you can make obviously a case for any of these quarterbacks, but yeah, I'm going to be, when I release Superflex rankings, I will have the receivers pushed down because they just naturally have less value. I don't think people, do that enough. Now, is this to say, look, we can do 150 of these? I'm sure there's going to be more Superflex tournaments. Is this to say I will never take a receiver in the first round? No. But to me, it's almost like taking a tight end in like pulling up a tight end in regular. It's just not, the chance that it hits value is so rare. Like, we have to have like record-setting years, like the Cooper Kupp year a couple years ago. Like, even Puka's year, 9-10 quarterbacks are dusting Puka, plus the multiple running backs. So tough for me to say that Puka is worthy of a first-round pick, even if he carbon copies what he did a year ago. So we will have articles about this. We'll have more. Of course, we're doing more shows and drafts with this as well, but it's just something I wanted to break down. And just I've always looked at like the 15-point threshold. We rarely are getting 15 points for our wide receiver 3. It is something we should keep in mind. And so, but a lot of times, a lot of quarterbacks can do that. Obviously we generally want our quarterbacks to hit 20 points, but when they're hitting 15 plus points, that's super strong for Superflex, because remember, we're replacing a third wide receiver position, and most quarterbacks can do that. Of course, not every week, but just about. Like Sam Darnold, who ended up being very much more the floor play last year. For this, I will break it down, and I think there's a case that obviously Darnold is a lot better this year. I will take James Cook here. Again, running backs do retain a lot of value, but I plan on getting my quarterbacks pretty well covered. But good old Sam Darnold last year, who was a very average-ish quarterback, mainly because of volume, not really because of him, but his weeks, he had 5.4 points week 1, but then 17.8, 16.7, 16.1, 28.6, 20, 9.6. That was all before the bye. 28.2. A couple lower ones under 10, but again, we're seeing 17, 23, 21. Like the consistency level of hitting that, and even if they are a little below, like Aaron Rodgers, week 1, 25.7, obviously would have been a great Superflex score. And even his next 3 weeks, 12.4, 12.7, 12.8. We're not always getting that from wide receiver 3s. I mean, yeah, we want to, but it's hardly a guarantee. And in this format, hopefully he's your quarterback 3. So he's not even your primary Superflex quarterback. So we'll take Bo Nix. And the other reason to prioritize running back also is, as we know in regular, their ADPs have been pushed up. So, to me, the first, few rounds should really be just a smattering of receivers, but quarterbacks, running backs, and no tight end. Like tight ends lose a lot of value here, because in a regular contest, if you go Bowers, Laporta or something, you can say, well, they can hit my flex enough, and just I'm going to dominate tight end score. Dominating tight end score matters less, because it is devalued, because since the score, the quote unquote wide receiver 3 score, is now a Superflex score and should be much higher across the board, whether it is a receiver or more likely a quarterback and running back. The tight ends make up the least percent of your points now. Like I said, even like the Trey McBrides, outside of that one, Kelsey year, and Mark Andrews had 1 year years ago, and Darren Waller did as well. But outside of those like 18-point years from a tight end, these guys just aren't going to produce at the same level. Like them getting 12 to 14 points, like we've seen as tight end 1 the last couple of years, easily replaceable. And even with 20 rounds, I'll do a lot of 2 tight end builds, especially if you get 2 like solid starters. Just because it's going to be so rare that it's hitting your flex. And it's going to be super rare. Like, I really do believe in Brock Bowers this year, with the new system, better quarterback play, obviously, and them not getting a top tier weapon. So let me actually, I'll take Beijing. So, and this is the way I look at it. Like right now, I've taken 2 quarterbacks, but I still have essentially a first and a third round running, like I'm still taking a first and a third round pick, like if this was 18-round format. So like, am I really that far behind? Am I really that different than I am, even despite spending, two of my top 3 picks at the quarterback position. And even if I had continued, even if I had taken Chuck or Willis, who I was considering, I think I would have been still very fine in subsequent rounds. So let me hit up chat. And oh, wow. What a shout. Thank you so much, FK. Appreciate this. This means a lot. Appreciate the gift and the shout out. Like, you know, we've obviously been drafting for a couple of years now and in Discord and everything. And, you know, I appreciate this, and I will not let Meg put it towards the Fire Mutes Fund. So thank you so much. After I make this pick, I will get back to chat. So this is what I mean. Like, I'm totally fine taking Darnold or Stroud here, or, you know, I mean, Daniel Jones might even go a little later, or he's going a little later. And that's why I say through like 6 rounds, because then it starts to thin out. I mean, I do think the Raiders combo is great, but I'd really want to make sure I can get both of them. And usually I will have a 4th quarterback, sometimes 4 starters, but a lot of times 3 guys, and then maybe a handcuff. And even if it's not my guy's handcuff, like, you know, I mean, Joe Flacco is very, very live for this team, or like Stidham, or, you know, whatever. But like I could take Marcus Mariota, just knowing, or Tyler Huntley, or you know, like right now it's tough to know who the Eagles' backup quarterback is, you know. But I could absolutely, you know, take Joe Milton, even though I don't have Dak. You know, those kind of things I think are totally live and totally fine, because any missed game by a guy, those guys are great. Obviously, it's a little better when you can just say, I have the Washington quarterback room, I have the Ravens quarterback room, you know, I had the 49ers quarterback room, but I think it's very good to walk out of these drafts with 4 quarterbacks. Sometimes I do 5. You know, it depends on how the board lands and all that. So let me get up to chat. I appreciate all the birthday wishes. Don't want to get too far behind. I appreciate all the comments. Hopefully you win the Field General today and hit the tonight at bingo, like Rob made me do it. Thank you so much. Disbanded in here with a dog. Great to see you. Great to see you, Cromulent, working and lurking. Here's your like. Appreciate that. Yes, please like this episode. We appreciate that. Quit in here. Hey. Been looking forward to hear your thoughts on this today. Absolutely. No, yes, we are going to be doing a lot of shows, you know, this weekend. Have articles as well. We'll be talking about it in our Discord. What is your best strategy and time to start drafting the Eliminator? I mean, I think it's kind of crazy to draft before the schedule comes out, because if you are lucky enough to make it to week 5, I assume like past years, week 5 is the first week of buys. Do you really want to be screwed and just have no chance then? Like, so I definitely wouldn't do it till then. And honestly, I think the more you wait, the better. Just because, yeah, you could get some closing line value, but boy, you want as few zeros as possible. So let's take our first receiver. Actually, no, for Meg, I got to go Cam Scatterbo here, right? I mean, and actually, I think it's a great pick. Them not taking Jeremiah Love, them adding to the offensive line, I think it's very strong. So yeah, I'm not going to take my first receiver till looks like round 7, but I could start with a Chris Olave, you know, and a Mekambuka, Lad McConkey. You know, I'm okay with this. And yes, I did skip Zay Flowers for Mike. But no, like I think this is totally fine to start in this range at wide receiver if you need to. I only need 2. My goal is to only have 2 every single week. With construction value needs a quarterback, unless like Kraft falls to one. I don't know if I'm taking my first. Yeah, I agree. It's just not going to hit the same. Like, do I think you're doing 150? Do I think you should, you know, like I'm going to do 150, and hopefully there's a lot more Superflex contests. Do I want 0 Brock Bowers? Do I want 0 Colson Loveland or Tyler Warren? No. Now, some, like if Harold Fannin, unless he falls dramatically, I will have 0 him just because I think he is a bad value normal. But McBride, if McBride goes where he's going, I hope McBride falls, because again, you have to hit like a very high outcome to be worthy of like a top 10 round pick. So, I mean, yeah, this range feels really good to start it. Receiver. I'll just go Lad. A lot to catch up on, I know, but I appreciate all the comments. Theoretically, could start 4 running backs and really lean to those first 8 to 10 rounds. You could. I would worry about your quarterbacks then, and we can look at the board here. If you do 4 running backs in a row, your quarterback combo would be, Chuck Willis, and I mean that's fine. But then even if you get 2 of these guys, which is no guarantees, 2 of these guys in 4, 5. You said 4 in 5, 6. You're just a little thin. Like maybe if you're at the turn and both like Young and Daniel Jones were there, that'd be fine. But I think you want a third starter, and so then your options can be very limited. Like, is Jacoby Brissett starting? I feel pretty confident with Aaron Rodgers. I feel pretty confident with Geno Smith. Right now, I don't know who the handcuff would be for either of those guys. And honestly, we don't know for Jacoby Brissett. This could be a 3 quarterback year for the team. So just something to keep in mind there. But like 3 of the first 4, yeah, I think you could, especially if you go like anchor, like Caleb Williams, did JT, Jeremiah Love, and Chase Brown, like do those 3 guys, but like a quarterback first. I'd probably feel better about it that way. But no, I think there's definitely different ways to approach it, because there are going to be those teams who just kind of punt quarterback a little too much. And I think it limits them. I really do. Like, not to say you can never advance if you punt quarterback, but you just have to be so perfect everywhere else. And I'm fine hitting doubles everywhere else. I don't need home runs in every other spot to make it worth my while. We'll go Terry. And let's get back to chat. Funny you say that about tight end. I was in some tight end hungry rooms last night. People taking 4 or 5 tight ends. Oof. Like, would I maybe take 4, like super late? Like if I'm super late and if I'm handcuffing a room, like try 2 of the Rams tight ends or 2 Steelers tight ends. Both Jets tight ends now, something like that. Maybe, but I think I'm pretty much going to be 2 or 3 tight ends pretty much all the time. You better be right. If you take like Jefferson Chase or whoever combo leads, you better be right, and they better be both like top 5. Yeah, exactly. That's what it boils down to. Because it's just the thing, like wide receiver 1 is going to be outscored by quarterback 12. Like maybe not that deep, but by quarterback 8, by quarterback 10, probably. Usually there's about 8 to 10 quarterbacks who average 20 points a game, and I think only 1 or maybe 2 times in the last 6 years a wide receiver has averaged 20 points a game in half-point PPR. I'd have to double check to be sure. I'll take Tony Pollard. And this is the other thing, like normally if I'm in this position, I'm taking Alec Pierce, I'm taking Marv, I'm taking DK. But I got my 2 receivers. I feel really good about Latta and Terry McLaurin. 2 guys who I think have top 10, top 15 upside. I will get more. I'll get more starters. And yeah, now I have 4 running backs. So if if my Superflex isn't coming from there, Scatterboo or Pollard, all 4 of these guys can hit my lineup now. All right, let's get back to chat. Disbanded, appreciate that. You need, seems like a lot. Sorry, missing the reference on need. I have several tight end teams. Missy, there was no top 100 regular season team last year that drafted 5 tight ends. FYI. Wow. No, that's a good shout. Happy 50th Big Cat. Not there yet. No, I turned 43 today. So stacking Mariota and Daniels last year was only an 8.2% advance rate. It had 292 pairings overall. It was the 3rd lowest advance rate of any Mariota combo in Superflex Puppy last year. Well, and that is the thing. Daniels unfortunately wasn't that good. Like some of these quarterbacks, for instance, I was just looking at the numbers. Like Kyler Murray, if you stack Kyler Brissett, that actually would have been a really good combo. Kyler, in his like 5 games, he had like 18 plus points, I think 3 of the 5, and I think 15, I want to say like at least 14 every game. So he's viable for hitting your Superflex every single week. And then of course Brissett had a number of big weeks down the stretch when they had no running games and total garbage time. So here we'll take our 3rd receiver, Cortland Sutton, get a stack. I like Tucker Kraft, but like somebody said, need him to fall a little bit more probably for me to really be in on him. Again, I'm not going to have 0 Tucker Kraft. Quid, thank you so much. Just for structure reasons, I hate even taking Chaser Puka at 12. I agree. I did a draft last night, and I was 12 and Dak was there. I didn't even take Lamb at 13. Like I considered it, but stacking just means less. There's gonna be less stacks. I mean, it's absolutely impossible to stack Burrow and Chase, right? There will be Burrow Higgins stacks, but like Puka can be stacked and a few others, of course, but it's just stacking is going to be, there's going to be less stacking in general, particularly with primaries. So I'm not going to, it's even less reason to force it, in my opinion. I have a lot of Mariota teams, but don't always draft one JD. Sometimes just tack them on somewhere with JD. Yeah, no, and I think that's what I mean. Like in some situations, not again, another one, you wouldn't have known to stack Flacco with Joe Burrow. But if you would, let's say, unfortunately for Joe Burrow, the same thing would happen this year. That'd be a very strong combo. Flacco had a number of really good games without Burrow. And so if the same thing were to happen, that could pay off. Let's go Gainwell here. Take a 5th running back. Puka and Chase still had the same advance rate in Superflex as they did BBM. So not a huge loss last year. Yeah, but I think the issue is they have to do that. They have to be a top 3 wide receiver. If they, in regular, if Puka ends up being wide receiver 6, you're still probably fine. But if he's wide receiver 6 in this, you could be really dead because you've now sacrificed so many points at that point. Huckleberry, good to see you. Good to be back. Been in the PGA jail since January. Yeah, I got you. With wide receiver value being pushed down, can you talk through stacking strategy? So I just accidentally did that. I think it's fine. Like when it falls to you, like I just had with Cortland Sutton, perfectly fine. And had the one round, I can't remember what it was, like T. Higgins come back to me. Would I maybe have considered taking wide receiver a little earlier there just to get that stack? Yes, but I'm not going to reach for it. I'm not going to reach for T. Higgins just to get a stack. I think reaching for stacks is less viable here because we're getting the quarterback side of it first. So when you get that second receiver or the tight end later, or a team correlation with a running back, yeah, it's fine. Like if I had Dak, would I be maybe taking Ferguson here or Mahomes taking Kelsey? Yeah, I think that's very viable. I think though, I'm going to take Matthew Golden, get a fourth receiver, consider between Golden or Worthy, Wandale also to an extent. And, like had I taken Stroud, maybe I would have taken Jaden Higgins, that type of thing. It's just not going to be something I'm going to overly prioritize. Like stacking still can have a little bit of edge, a little bit of value. And that's the other thing with the playoffs, smaller pods, 1 of 8, 1 of 6. You just don't, the stacking factor, isn't necessarily you're not going to necessarily need it as much. Mario and Daniels had an advance rate of 35.8%. That was the third best combo rate with Mariota. So it was a great combo. Yeah. And neither one, because Washington's offense just was such a mess last year, neither one actually played well, had too many like great weeks, because it's obviously much better when you have some great weeks in that combo. If you just have a bunch of like 15 to 18 point weeks, particularly for the Daniels cost, that's not ideal. Now, if it was like Chuck and Rattler, I'm imagining that was pretty good because, Rattler had a couple good games and Chuck had some good games down the stretch. Neither one's like knocking your socks off as QB1, but hitting your Superflex, I'm sure they both were doing it at a decent clip. And you're getting them at a very reasonable cost. So we will take our first tight end here. Take Mark Andrews. I'm probably just going to do 2 tight ends. So I want one that I feel semi-good about. That's how I view it. Likely this would be like a 4-6, maybe 4-7, maybe 4-7-8-2, or no, not 8-2, 4-7-7-2. Yep, that's what I just said. No, appreciate the micro app stats. You're the best, sir. Thank you. And yes, thank you so much, coolers. Retails around $20. Make both sibs happy. We got nice and blended here. Good to see you. I'm planning on drafting a lot more Superflex this year than I did last year. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, no, I appreciate hearing that, Kicks. Too funny, FK. Since Steve puts it towards bourbon. That's probably a safe bet. All right. Let's see what I want to do with this pick. Could end tight end. Quarterback, it's a big drop off, but I think these guys, if you're taking Patrick Mahomes, take Justin Fields. Why would we not? I don't know about Taylor Green there. Definitely don't know about JJ McCarthy. Not all backups are necessarily worthy. I think I'll stick in the wide receiver range. I think Jalen Coker is a fall here. This is what I mean. Some of these guys get pushed down. So I'm just kind of looking for floor plays now. Like let's ensure I'm not going to get zeros, right? I think Coker is a nice piece here. As wide receiver 5, rarely can hit the flex, but when I need him to, he can be my number 2 wide receiver. Yeah, no, Mike's really crushing it with the stats. Superflex is the best format for bourbon. Plenty of wiggle room for deviation. Oh no, I had a question, but I just saw the timestamp with the waiting game. Yeah, I need to catch up. These stats are awesome. Lutz, good to see you. Appreciate the birthday shout. Meant to say 2 tight end teams. Okay. Yeah, no, I think 2 tight ends are kind of where it's at, especially if you're getting like 2 starters, like pretty clear starters. Frog Clone, appreciate that. Thank you. So if you're 43 and Meg is the older sister, how's she 32 on LinkedIn? It's when she's saying that's when her photo was. We got Bayou in here. Good to see you. Hey, everyone. Hope you're doing well, Bayou. Don't forget to check out his stream as well. Rattler and Chuck had a 20% advance rate together, so you're right on. Yeah. Preparing myself for Superflex. Absolutely going to win baseball daily today real quick. Get it. That's what I like to hear. All right. I am on the clock. And yeah, let's just end tight end right here. Hunter Henry. I'm pretty good with those two. So back to chat. Let me show the board first. And we will go over the board a little bit after this, just to, since Superflex is a different animal. Jameis Winston, a perfect Superflex quarterback. He had, what, a 30-point game last year in his time for Jackson Dart. And we know Jackson Dart takes injuries. Jameis Winston, I will say, whether you have Dart or not, I think Jameis Winston should be drafted probably in every Superflex draft. I'd take Jameis Winston over potentially the Browns starting quarterbacks. I mean, not really, but kinda. Just because what we know he can do, and B, Dart's propensity to get concussed. Even if it's 2 games, Jameis Winston could just have that 30-point game that advances you to the playoffs. What do you make of this Browns quarterback room, and how would you handicap it in terms of most likely to be on the field weeks 15 through 17? What a mess. Definitely agree. What a mess. I will say, I think Fedor is the most likely to be on the field weeks 15 through 17. Even if Watson starts, I have a tough time believing he was going to be there at the end. I know it's Monken. This is a new staff. How does Gabriel had the higher draft capital, but Shador probably did play better down the stretch than Gabriel. I mean, it's tough to say. They were both fairly bad. Let's go Debo here. So in the Taylor Green stuff, I think it's going to be a fun preseason pick. But I don't think he will get starts at the end unless things go terribly, terribly wrong. Because one, they'd have to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. My guess is they try and stash Taylor Green. Maybe they try and trade Dylan. They honestly might try and trade Dylan Gabriel. To me, Dylan Gabriel, he never should have been a 3rd-round pick. He can be a fine long-term backup. He's a smart, heady quarterback, just doesn't have a big arm, not mobile enough to make a difference there. And, in some ways he's like a Kellen Moore, who undersized quarterback, but, with some smarts. So, we see those guys, they can be backups for long-term. I could see a couple of teams taking just wanting a younger backup in the room, even if he's going to be a 3rd quarterback on a team. I could absolutely see a few teams looking that way, but they would only give up like a 7th rounder for him. Nobody's going to trade anything near the 3rd rounder the Browns gave up for him. But they could look to do that, because you'd have to hope that Taylor Green can be stashed on practice squad, and maybe, but there could just be other teams who just view his athletic freak potential and say, let's see what we can do with him. Let's bring him in. So that is a little tougher to predict, but I mean, I would say it's a long way to go. I do think Watson does probably have the edge, at least right now, and probably going in, Watson has been bad since, coming to Cleveland. Every chance he's had, and of course he's had suspension and injuries, but at the same time he's just got a much better career track record And that at some point I do think matters. Take Ray Davis, to me, one of the better, if not the best handcuff running back, and I have James Cook. So yeah, I should have the Bills running back room. That makes this feel even better. But I think Ray Davis is a fine click, even if you don't have James Cook. Shador is a Pro Bowler. That is true. And, you know, I mean, not that it's pure nepotism, but I do think his name helps him a little bit. It does sell some jerseys, but my guess is if they keep Gabriel, one of Gabriel Sanders will be the quarterback late in the season. I have a tough time believing Watson starts 17 games, not just because his injury risk, which is high in and of itself. He's coming off a major injury, but he's just not been good. And what do they have to gain by having him start all 17 weeks? So my lean is Watson to start the season. Shador most likely end of the season, but I think it's a mess. Wouldn't be so shocking to see 3 of them get starts this year. So yeah, it's not great. Obviously the 20 rounds here make it a little bit more viable and the priority for quarterback, because even if Shador's not starting in the end of the year, he plays 3-4 weeks. Yeah, he could hit your lineup a couple times, and that could be enough to justify, his pick range. I can wait. I'll do Ollie. Get my 7th running back. And I'll probably have a wide receiver last. I think there's enough. Again, wide receivers get pushed down. I know most of these guys will be gone, but if I end up with Jalen Knoll as my last receiver, Brennan Thompson, even Bailey, Jack Bash, Coleman, I'm fine. Totally fine. I mean, Jahan Dotson is a great 7th receiver in this format. Because I just need some, floor, honestly, at this point. Ceiling matters less for receivers, especially when I have a couple guys that I feel confident enough with. And I'm fine. Like, if I end up having, of these 12 teams, the least amount of receiver points, I still think I'm live. I don't want to be 12th in the pod in receiver points, but even if that's the case, I think I'm probably going to have higher quarterback points and running back points than most. So, I mean, yes, I'm not truly trying to be 12th at receiver or tight end, but if I am 12th at one of those, I don't think this team would be dead. I'll just secure Joe Flacco. Again, Mac Jones, some of these clear, viable. James Winston would be Marcus Mariota. The clear number 2s, I think, are all good picks here. But let me take Joe Flacco. We feel great about the Bengals offense one way or the other. And yeah, I think Joe Flacco should absolutely be drafted in every team or every draft as well. Why do you think Davis did so well as a rookie but sucked last year, aside from the fact I overdrafted him? Ray Davis. I think it kind of came down to James Cook is just that good. I think the tough thing is, his rookie year, James Cook missed like a game and a half, if I remember correctly, and that didn't happen. And then I think even when he came back, they kind of like eased him back in. They didn't just totally give James Cook like 20 carries the next game, if I remember it right. So that helped. That kind of gave Ray Davis a little bit of a window. And I think maybe Ty Johnson missed some time that year as well. I could be wrong on that. So I think last year was just tough because Ty Johnson has the third down role. Maybe that begins to change. But they really like Ty Johnson for that. And so Ray Davis he's more, to me, he really is just a handcuff running back. It's kind of like whoever we believe for the 49ers, like Jordan James or Kalen Black. Like, we're not drafting them to expect them to hit our lineup many weeks, just because the starter is so good and can dominate so much of the touches. But they are just pure handcuff. Now, if those guys go down, and there are others like this, like JT, Saquon, same sort of thing. Like, I don't think, like Tank Bigsby, it's not like Tank Bigsby had big games last year. Normally, he had it in blowout games. And that's probably the same case this year. For like Tank Bigsby, but I think those guys are great because if those starters miss any time, they can then become a pretty damn good workhorse. So I'll go with my theme of olds, but I mean, Cooper Kupp, I have Sam Darnold, so it makes it even better. But give me the 3 to 5 weeks that Cooper Kupp is 10 to 15 points. I'm not even expecting a 20-point game from him, but he does 3 to 5 weeks of that, great 20th round click. For just covering buys, any weeks I have guys miss or anything like that, just give me that floor. That's how I'm looking at it. Brandon Ayuk is missing. Wait, is this real? Maybe Stevie's on I-95 making his way down to Washington at 115 miles per hour. Okay. Oh, Jesus. I mean, so close to 30 likes for if Washington signs Brandon Ayuk, I will need the bourbon then. So close to 30 likes for the birthday man. Let's get him there so he's something to brag about at the Shop 4 tournament for early birthday. Sizzler, 100%. So I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone else in here is a YouTube member, let me know. I know Minsu is, Aiden is. So I'll go over our two teams, but then I do want to look at the board just from a general strategy standpoint, because I think it's important, and I like taking Winston at the end is very good. And I'm not Richardson Bull because I think they could be trading him. Ty Simpson, I don't know if he's going to be the backup. That's kind of the question that I have for Ty Simpson. I know he was taken 13th overall, but I also think like if they bring back Jimmy Garoppolo or bring in some other veteran, real chance like they're the ones starting over Ty Simpson if Stafford were to miss any time. That would be my guess. But right now, I mean, a 20th round click until we have clarity on that, sure. I think it's fine. So I go 4-7-7-2, Burrow, Nix, Sam Darnold. So 3 clear-cut starting quarterbacks, and then I handcuff Joe Burrow with Joe Flacco. So I handcuff arguably the best or top 3 passing offense in the league. That feels good. Running backs, James Cook, Travis Etienne, Cam Scatterbo, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, then tacking on Ray Davis, Ollie Gordon. So very deep, strong running back room, should be very covered. Have 5 guys who I think can hit lineups week in, week out. Receiver room, Ladd McConkey, Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton, Matthew Golden, Jalen Coker, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry. So first thing we want to look, and we can look at this at the board also, but I said this earlier at the start, I take 2 quarterbacks early, but I still end up with a first-round talent in James Cook, who I did have taken the second round to do so. But Travis Etienne, A-Chain, who's now 3rd round, Cam Scatterbo is 6th round, should be 5th round. Tony Pollard is moving on up. We'll see where his ADP settles post draft, but he should be going like ADP 70. So, and Kenneth Gainwell is kind of, then it starts to normalize, like the back half normalizes a bit more. But Kenneth Gainwell is my 5th running back, 126. I feel I'm fully covered at running back, fully covered at quarterback. I've taken 3 quarterbacks by then, gotten a couple of receivers, and it's like, yes, like, but I could do a regular draft and start with these top 3. Now, would I probably have had a better 4th than Matthew Golden? Yeah, probably. But Matthew Golden and Jalen Coker are both in that same range, the early to, like 110 to 125 range. That's where they both are generally going to go. So we got 5 in that range. Debo, unless he retires, is a fantastic value. In Cooper Kupp, he is the absolute, chaperone type play for this. And then 2 tight ends, I easily could, in an 18-run format, I easily could have taken these 2 tight ends. And honestly, this is roughly their ADPs in 18 round. So I think it seems strong in that department as well. So it's like, yeah, you look at the receiver and you say there's maybe, you're maybe missing one quote unquote top 100 player. I don't think it's that far behind, especially double tapping Coker or Golden and Coker. And then of course the veterans like Debo and Kupp. Let's go to Aiden's team. And like I said, please let me know if anyone else is a YouTube member in chat. Aiden goes Jaden, Dart, Chuck, again, 3 starters, and then handcuffs start. Absolute perfect. I mean, Winston or Mariota would be great on this team, either one, and you got one of them. And honestly, I think they're both very good in general. Running back room, Kenneth Walker, Kyron Williams, Jadarian Price, Emmett Johnson. So handcuffing the Chiefs backfield. Alvin Kamara, who I think is a fine pick. Emmanuel Wilson, so semi-handcuffing the Seattle backfield. I think it's obviously a bit more of a mess, but I think that's fine, and then 7 receivers: Chris Olave, Carnell Tate, Jordan Taysom. So really stacking up the Saints. Chris Godwin, Ricky Pearsall, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Bell. And so one thing, wide receiver stacking, I think is better, not from the point of I think is going to bring both guys, but when you have these combos like an Olave, Tyson, or not so much like the round one and like, like the Puka Adams, or though that's a very good one. It's just, I don't know if I want to pay the Puka price, or the Chase Higgins, same sort of thing. But like some of these combos, like, this is later, but Denver, like Waddle, Sutton, or DK and Pittman, Mbuka, Godwin, those kind of things, like getting 2 of them, especially if the cost and value feels pretty good. Most weeks, probably one of these guys is putting up a worthy score. So it's like you're in a way handcuffing the passing offense and saying, yeah, I'm going to have a Saints player viable every single week. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It depends, but you also made a Chuck bet, so it's even better here. But even in general, like even if you didn't have Chuck, I think that's a fair bet. I mean, they should be the clear 1, the clear 2. This is not a murky situation or murky question at all. And, I think it can pay off quite well to always have like a viable guy. I mean, yes, there will be the odd weeks where neither really gets there because it's all on the ground, or, Juwan Johnson had a 2 touchdown game, or unfortunately they get shut out or something like that. But it's most weeks you're going to have a Saints receiver. So then you only need to fill 1 spot. And that could be Tate, that could be Godwin, that could be Ricky Pearsall, it could be Shaheed, Chris Bell late in the season. So yeah, I mean, that you feel pretty damn good with that wide receiver room. And then Kelsey likely adding on Jake Tonjes, particularly for some early season. I think that's a strong team as well. Let me catch up with chat, then we'll look at the board. Steve got that Terry killed my soul because that fall was so nice, Steve. Yeah, sorry about that. Who your quarterbacks are early. It's so much easier to stack when it comes to not only knowing your stack, but who you can let fall sometimes. Yeah, and yes, I will say it's more the Wild West, so I think less people are worried about stacks. I know I personally am, and I'm not the biggest stack guy to begin with. But yeah, I do think you can kind of play the board a little bit for sure. And speaking of the board, let's go to it. Let's talk about it. First round, we see 7 quarterbacks. We see another, 4 more in second round. Third round, another, another 6. So by that point, we're at 17 quarterbacks through the first 3 rounds. Over half the league. Definitely, it's the top half guys. I mean, sure, like a Goff, Willis, maybe Chuck Love, one of these guys like break in as a top 15 quarterback, Darnold with enough volume, Stroud with enough volume, etc. But likely the entire top 15 is wiped out through the first 3 rounds. So I would generally want to ensure I'm getting one of those. Can you do builds where you start later? Sure. But I just think you add extra risk that is, to me, unnecessary. I know people will look at it and say, oh, I got 2 starters, I'm good. You're good, but I just don't think you're at the same level. And this is if a person's in chat, it's not like a overly knock, but starting like a Jared Goff, Stroud, Geno, that's fine, but that's probably behind most teams' quarterbacks. So you just need everything else to be better. And Puka, Taylor, I just don't know. Like, to me, I just don't know if it's worth it. Like, if you do the 1v1 flip of you took Caleb or May, and then instead of Stroud even, so you'd have Caleb and Goff as your top 2 quarterbacks. Instead of Stroud, you're taking, I'm not even the biggest Garrett Wilson fan. Higgins is probably where I'd go. And you take Higgins, are you that far behind? Again, Puka has to have his year from last year. If Puka's wide receiver 6, you're really behind at that point. And just like a floor safety standpoint, like those quarterbacks are just going to be far more consistent as well. It's just where I'm at. But yeah, this is why I say through round 5, through round 6. Round 6, the only quarterback taken is probably the guy not starting the year, Fernando Mendoza. And then we have a pause, and round 7 has the starters that we kind of think are starters. I do like what 12-hole did here, taking Tua and Penix. Just lock it up. I'm sure Penix was probably a little early for that. I haven't looked at the ADP, but I think that's fine. Lock up the Atlanta quarterback room to go along with your Daniel Jones, to go along with your Stafford. This is, to me, a fine way to approach waiting a little bit on quarterback. You get the double tap at running back, so you got 2 elites anchored. You get a couple early receivers as well, so you're fairly covered there. Receiver looks stronger. Took Carson Beck late. I don't necessarily love taking Carson Beck in round 13, but it's viable right now with Jacoby sitting down and all that. For me, just looking at it, like that team probably ends up a little thin at running back. You're just double anchored at that point, like in Rashard White. So you're probably not getting your flex from that position. That's not, I think, the best approach. I think you want the flex coming from the running back as much as possible. Alec Pierce is great. QJ can be great. But probably they need help cover your receiver room a little bit. Is just kind of the way I look at it. And this just, the bottom of the draft show is interesting because we just see guys we're not normally getting in draft, like Justin Jolly, Adam Randalls, Chris Brooks, all these types of guys. And it can be fun to mix some of these guys in. Like, I like the Brennan Thompson pick quite a bit. That was one I was considering. Not sure, Trey Benson, maybe he gets traded, maybe Connor gets traded. It just feels very, very tough right now. All right, let's get another one in. I will hit up chat quite a bit, or before I do. all Commonwealth stack. Nice. All top 15 quarterbacks gone by round 3. Get at least 2 quarterbacks, because then logically everyone else falls. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think you really want to have your second quarterback by 4 and definitely 5 at the latest. And I like having 3 by 6 for sure. And generally I'll be 3 by 5. Exactly. And this is the point. And we it's the same with Mintz's team. Even with the early capital, 3 top 50 picks on quarterback. Still with Kenneth Walker, Kyron Williams. These are Chris Olave, Carnell Tate. These are all very viable top, 6th-round picks. So it's like he still got 4 top 6th-round guys to go along with his quarterbacks at the very least. And I mean, Price is actually now kind of in that mix as well. So yeah, I personally think playing the board, letting guys get pushed down is important. And Superflex, it's natural quarterbacks rise too, right throughout the process. Yeah, I'm guessing people are learning, like last year at this time, you had Aaron Rodgers going super late, you had Daniel Jones going super late, that kind of stuff. So I think people are learning a little bit better. But yeah, when Aaron Rodgers signs, he will, I'm sure, rise. If Jacoby Brissett gets figured out, he will rise. Devin Warehouse saying, I'd say it's 80% Shador, 10% Green, 5% Watson for Browns week 15 to 17. Yeah. And I mean, I do think Gabriel's on team. He deserves a chance, but or percentage. I don't know if he deserves a chance. So Ian saying, think about it too. If you took Puka at 11 per se, drafted him as wide receiver 2, even if he's wide receiver 6, where's wide receiver 6? Yeah. That's where it comes down to. Because to me, like Ladd and Terry, I don't think they have a shot to be wide receiver 1. I'll be fairly honest, though. Maybe Mike McDaniel could do that. And I mean, yes, stranger things have happened, but I don't think they legitimately have a shot for wide receiver 1. But do I think they both have shots for a top 10 receiver? Yeah. And if they do, I got them so much later than what most people were spending for a top 10 receiver. And, even if they're 3.5 points behind wide receiver 1, I think I'm making up for that. Now, like I said, I will have some anchor wide receiver builds, particularly in that when you're in the back half of the first round and you get that turn, and in this, St. Brown. I mean, that's a fantastic that can be a viable 2nd round pick. Jefferson, Lamb, those are viable. I still prefer the running backs over them, as I took James Cook, but will I have some builds with those? Yeah, the Chase Puka are the ones, if they stick in the 1st round, I'll probably just be way lower on, if at all. I'll probably do 1 or 2 of each just to do it. But then it's straight anchor. I like what this guy who took Chase did. Went Chase and got Higgins, so I'm sure he's got both of them, which is honestly a good 1-2 combo. Like I said, we'll always have a Bengals receiver. Just about. And in some weeks, they both can be viable. But, took the 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs in between, took another quarterback. If Jacoby Brissett's a starter, I think this is a good team, a good way to approach it. Would have probably wanted another running back with one of these Watson Harrison picks, but Monaga's a fine click. So he got guys to work. Chris Rodriguez is a fine running back for. It's I don't love all honestly, my biggest worry now would be Sadiq. But otherwise, I think this is a very good way to approach the draft. A couple player takes I'd be off and different on. But I think structurally, that's a very fair way to approach it. If you're not I want the 3rd quarterback that I feel more confident in probably. But, if he's right on Jacoby Brissett, this turns into a very, very strong team, I think. All right, let's get back to it and do another draft. Let me heat up chat a little bit more. Value could be a little off calculations, but hopefully you follow. Yeah, no, 100% get where you're at with that. We got Fantasy Dog in here, 33rd like. Appreciate you, Fantasy Dog. Lad has a shot to be wide receiver one, Steve. He does, and my bags aren't making me think that. I mean, he does, because just we saw, Mike McDaniel, what he could do with Tyreek a couple years ago. And, Justin Herbert. Like, there's a lot of positive there. But I think the odds for wide receiver one are going to be mainly made up of course, the first round guys. After that, then it's like 1% here, 0.5% there, sure. But my point is, like, I don't need Lat to be wide receiver one because of where I'm taking him. Same with Terry. Like, honestly, even if they finish wide receiver 11 and 12, both out of the top 10, I'm still probably good. Aiden, also, if you take one of those Goliath quarterbacks early, like round 1 and 3 through 5, you have a chance to finish QB1 with rushing, etc. And Superflex obviously values quarterbacks the most. Yeah. And this is the other part of it. And Aiden hits on it. The best way to beat the Josh Allen team or the Lamar team or whoever, the top couple quarterbacks are, because again, only 2 are coming out of the pod here. If you don't have those guys, is to have like 3 good quarterbacks, like 3 volume quarterbacks. Well, here, that Josh Allen team, one, it's tougher to get those 3 quarterbacks. Like in a regular draft, you could wait till round 9 and take Kyler, Goff, Stafford, or Kyler Goff and Baker Mayfield, and have a pretty strong quarterback room. But here, you're not going to get those 3 combos, unlikely. And not only are you having to beat Josh Allen, but you're having to beat whoever that guy, the Josh Allen team's Superflex position is as well. So I just don't think you want to get too far behind a quarterback because it's harder to catch up in this format. I think it's worth it even more. I love this talk, man. Appreciate that. If week 17 a wide receiver goes for 40 points, you want them, and only a handful of guys are solid bets for that. I mean, I agree, but it's like, how many times is that possible? There's essentially, if you look at 30-plus point games, essentially running backs and receivers do it at the same clip. And the fact that there's more wide receivers than running backs, starting, then we should prioritize running back. And when we saw it last year, I mean, multiple running backs had 40-point games. So it's just those ceiling plays, and let's not discount the possibility that you get 2 of the top scoring quarterbacks. Imagine, and this was week 15, you could have easily had Trevor Lawrence's 40-some point game and Brock Purdy's 30-some point game that week. That if those 2 guys are going to hit your lineup, I don't care that Puka Puka was week 16, but no, was he week 15 also? Either way, I don't care that Puka hit 40. If my 2 quarterbacks are doing that, I think I'm advancing, because you might have Puka, but your quarterback and your Superflex aren't hitting that, is the way I'm kind of pointing it out to be. I mean, yeah, my receivers can't have 8 points those weeks, but I actually think it's easier to combat those, 2 years ago, the T. Higgins 40-point game week 17. I think it's much easier to combat in Superflex than it is in regular, because that year, if you'd had, Joe Burrow was quarterback 1 and Baker was quarterback 2 or 3, you have, Burrow and Baker, you're gold, and even if you didn't have Higgins with it, you obviously could have. That's better, but it's just, I don't think it cares as much. It just devalues all the other points just because the receiver position is not as thin across the board. So more people are more likely going to have good receiver scores. That's the way I look at it. Trey Benson, good money in the 20th round. Same points. Reports he might land with the Packers. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good landing spot for him. For me, I'm going to take more of a wait and see approach with him, but we'll see. Also consider, let's say any team, even Chase goes for 40. It's not even a strong guarantee that team Chase makes to the playoffs to begin with, because you probably took him around 1. Yeah. I think you're extremely undervaluing elite receivers. What you're saying makes sense, maybe as soon as tier 2, but the top guys are season-long difference makers. But I guess what I'm saying is they're less of difference makers in this format because their points are actually devalued. Because we will have two starting quarterbacks. You could potentially have 2 starting quarterbacks outscore the top receiver in this league. Like that, because Matt Stafford finished as quarterback 3 last year. Drake May was quarterback 2. It's not like we go down the list. Brock Purdy this is points per game, quarterback 5. Now, granted, he missed a lot of time, but Brock Purdy's putting up, his week 15, 26 points, week 16, 31.9, week 17, 37.9. His other weeks starting, he had 18.8, 19.7, 19.3, 17.1. Like, this guy is hitting your lineup way more than an elite wide receiver, and you're not even taking him first round. Same with Matt Stafford. The number of 20, 25 point games you're getting from him, it's better than Puka. And I understand what you're saying, but it's because for 2 reasons. One, the scarcity isn't there. Like, partly why the elite receivers pay off in regular is because everyone needs to start at least 3. Here, everyone's starting 2. So the receiver room that I did, yeah, Puka can go off for 40. But if Vlad or Terry are going off for 20, which they're going to do a fair number of times if Terry's healthy, I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna worry about that too much. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be that far behind. And like I said, like, I feel better about some of the second round receivers. The first round to me is really tough just because running backs and quarterbacks are going to outscore them. Like, Puka had 19, average 19 points per game. We had, he was a little over 19. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which was actually a light year for quarterbacks. 6 quarterbacks with more than 20 points, all 20.6 or more. So that's 1 point more. And then with 3 in the 19 range, 3 in the 18 point range, a bunch in the 17 point range. I just don't know how many times, like, most years it's more like 8 to 10 quarterbacks who are getting 20 plus points. And it's just so rare for a receiver to crack 20. In most years, we're getting 1 to 3 running backs cracking 20. So, to me, give me the points, particularly when the scarcity is now at the quarterback position. So let's see. Last year, at running back, he switched to half point. I think we only had 2 or 3, 2 20 points, and then Bijan 19.5, essentially the exact same number as Puka. I think he was 19.6. Jahmyr Gibbs 19.3. So it's just an A-Chain 18. So we just have a big window of guys where receiver, I'm just saying they have to do it. Like, it's the only chance. Like, bringing up a receiver now. Give me 1 second. And actually Puka was 19.4, so even less. And then the next one was 17.7, JSN. And then the one after that is 15.7, 15.6, that's Chase and Amon-Ra, 15.5, Rashid Rice, 14.4, Pickens, 14, London, 13.8. So we just jumped down very quickly. And like Puka, I'd say would have been worth the first round pick last year, but no other receiver would have. That's the point I'm making. Likely you'll have one receiver worthy of a first round pick. And honestly, worthy of a top 2 round pick. It is probably the best way to say it. But you're saying elite running backs are also available 3rd, 4th rounds, but so are these receivers. Like, George Pickens finished as wide receiver 6 last year. Drake London, Devontae Adams, wide receiver 9. Chris Olave, wide receiver 10. And I understand there's a big gap. There's a 5.5 point gap between them and Puka. But that gap wasn't there with the exception of that week 16 game. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that blow up happened. I'm not taking it away from him. But up until that point, up until when Devontae Adams got injured, they were much closer in points per game. And of course, then Puka took over because he played the last 3.5 games without Devontae Adams and had, 4 20 plus point games in that time. So I actually personally think it's closer. And like I said, having some anchor wide receiver builds is fine. It's just not only do you need them to be wide receiver 1, but you also need them to be it by the considerable amount like Puka was last year. If Puka, had averaged 17.8 points and JSN 17.7 and Jamar 15.7, then they're really below. Then they're in the James Cook category, who I got in the 3rd round. I got him in the 2nd round. But I think you'll be pretty fine avoiding them. And yeah, whoever ends up being wide receiver 1, you probably want. I agree. The difference between quarterback 10 and quarterback 20 is minimal. Yes and no. I think, yes overall, but we now need to factor in the scarcity of the position. Because for me, my team, it's not just quarterback 10 and quarterback 20. Bo Nix, who could be quarterback 10, and Sam Darnold, who could easily be quarterback 20. I have both those guys now competing for my Superflex. So I should be maximizing my Superflex score. And of course, my quarterback score, if any weeks, those two guys outscored Joe Burrow, fantastic. My point is, I can have Joe Burrow be a top 3 quarterback, and those two combined to give me a top 3 Superflex score that most other teams just cannot compete with. And even if I'm behind at receiver, I think I'll be okay with that kind of combo. And there will be teams where I take receiver earlier than round 7, of course. But yeah, let me just catch up. I know there's a lot in here, but I appreciate the chat. I really, really do. I think if you're drafting toward the end of the round, I do agree that taking Lawrence deck feels ADP when you're passing on lead options at other positions. That's where I feel yeah. I think Steve should reverse Uno the Superflex field and rock McBride, Powers, Loveland, tight end, Superflex. Yeah, that would be quite the way. In normal format, I think anchor one of those top 6 elite receivers and hammer 2 running backs because the difference between top receivers and the rest of the field is larger. I agree, but it is the scarcity argument just changes quite a bit when I only need 2 receivers, and you don't need 2 quarterbacks, but you should want 2 quarterbacks. Because as I just mentioned, Devontae Adams was wide receiver 9, 13.8. Chris Olave, 13.7. Aaron Rodgers is outscoring that. 20 quarterbacks are outscoring that. So you better have those, is what I'm saying. You can make the same anti-argument against Gibbs and Bijan. I think the difference is they're likely to score more points. If Gibbs is RB1 and Puka's wide receiver 1, Gibbs probably outscores them by 2 to 3 points. So I think there's that. And then the other factor is running back has more scarcity than receiver, especially now, because now we are starting the same number of running backs and receivers, and the flex always should be a running back over receiver. Can every now and then your receiver hit it? Of course. But the scarcity argument now really is even more in favor of running back because we're not forced to start a 3rd receiver. Because they're still very good. That's what I'm saying. And you can still snag around 5-6. Yeah. it's easy for RBs and running backs to outscore quarterbacks on a week-to-week basis. I think a lot of people reaching isn't smart. Like, I know what I'm giving is the average, but it's not just the average. I'll have to break down the actual numbers of like 20 and 30 and 40-point games from all these different positions. But usually running backs and receivers are pretty dead on. And, you know, there's less running backs than receivers. And that's why they generally outscore receiver by a pretty good margin. But the quarterbacks, you know, pick an average quarterback. You know, Jordan Love, average as they come last year. 15.9, 20.9, 26.3, 16, 28.3, later 17.7, 25.8, 20.3, 15.9. Like, that's a number of very usable weeks. Find me a receiver or running back who's putting up that many weeks. There aren't that many. And Jordan Love is nowhere near the top of the quarterback board. Daniel Jones, before he got hurt, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games with 15 or more fantasy points. Find me a receiver doing that. And again, that's him missing quite a bit of time at the end. Even like a Bryce Young, like, by no means a big Bryce Young fan this year. I was last year, but you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15 plus point games. These aren't great quarterbacks. I agree. But in that, there was also multiple. There was a 31-point game from Bryce Young. There was a 22-point games. CJ Stroud, another not great quarterback, 28.8 point game, couple 20-point games, multiple 15-plus point games. Like, even Cam Ward, he had a 23.9 point game, and of course, multiple 15. Like, Cam Ward, yeah, wasn't good. But Geno was awful last year. He had 2 games of 26 or more points. Like Tua, another awful quarterback last year. 2 games of 22 or more points, multiple others 15 plus. I just think it hits more than you think. Tyler Shuck down the stretch had 3 20 plus point games, all 21.9 or higher. And again, we need to compare where these guys are going. No, there are, but I think you want to prioritize that more. I'm not saying never take an elite receiver in the first couple rounds. I just think it should be way less than regular format. Running back, start Beef City. Yes, but I guess what I'm saying is you have to be right on that. You 100% right have to be right. Where, like, a team last year, I mean, this is a pretty big gap, but like a Justin Jefferson first round pick team last year still could have been, I mean, it's tough because it was just so bad. But a CD Lamb who missed time, wasn't in the wide receiver 1 mix, like even his points per game, I just read them off. He was, not there at the top. You could still advance with the CD Lamb in regular, I feel like. But in this, it'd be much harder. Yeah, this is where I'm at. Like a Nico, get some of those guys for sure. And if you take guys who are mobile like Stafford, Dak currently goes with a strong argument here, not take ADP currently because the margin gap is smaller. No, I just think you need to have a quarterback plan. If you come out of this draft with a very thin quarterback room, not only are you weak at quarterback and need essentially everything to break your way for it to pay off, but you're weak at Superflex. Like, I don't care what receivers you have, what receiver running back combo you have, you're probably going to be way behind in the Superflex point department. Like Shuck, yes, drafted later, but has a case to finish as a top 10 quarterback or higher. Herbert at 18. And I guess my point is to Pepper Tony's is, yes, those quarterbacks in that 15 to 20 range are very similar, and then they can even get close to the 20, the top 10. I'm not comparing them against those top 10 quarterbacks. I'm comparing them against the wide receivers that would be filling my Superflex position, and they are dominating them. by a pretty wide margin. Now, if you want to do anchor wide receiver, I think that's fine. I think it has to be, I would probably do like Puka or Chase, 2 quarterbacks, a running back, another quarterback, and then like 3 running back. Like anchor wide receiver would be like wide receiver round 1 and then wide receiver rounds 9 and 10. Like just lock up your running back and quarterback then afterwards. There's a way to do it. I'm not denying that. I just don't think that's your best upside case. For those quarterbacks gone by round 5, then you're staring Darnold, Stroud, Young. They're good options, but yeah, exactly where I'm at. Geno has always been awful. Not really disagreeing with that. But my point is, yeah, like the Genos will put up points. So yeah, you can get those guys a little later. They're not going to be as consistent. And I want Geno to be my at worst quarterback 3 and more likely my quarterback 4. Thank you so much, Fantasy Dog. Appreciate that. Appreciate the birthday wishes. It's a 2v2 conversation. Yeah. Right. It pays off. You notice the gap. Correctly predict the top wide receiver, but if you don't, you're not screwed. But I think way more behind than you think. Yeah, no, Aiden and I are on the same page there. Trying to maximize advance rate over upside, which is fine goal. But I also think passing on Chase, Puka, you're making your own pod harder. Maybe, but I mean, how many of those? Again, if Chase and Puka aren't as strong in general advance rate pieces, I know Mike said they had similar advance rate as last year in regular. My guess is the other first round receivers did not, would be my guess. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, if Puka goes off for week 16, 40 points, he might have pushed more teams through to the Superflex Finals. But did he even get there? Even with this 20 plus point game in week 15, is he pushing you through versus the guy who has 2 top quarterbacks? So it's like such a contingent thing is how I'd look at it. Monarch, Cam Ward versus Bo Nix and Burden is pretty close in total points for a single week. Yeah. No, it is, and I think it matters your opinion of these guys. And I do think though, like the consistency factor, like Bo Nix should be outscoring Cam Ward on a week-to-week basis. And again, we need to finish in the top 2 to get out of the pod. And still get 2 quarterbacks in the 10 to 20 range. I think if you land the plane rate, it can work. I just think this is where it gets devalued. Like there has to be acknowledgement that they're devalued, even whoever ends up wide receiver 1. Appreciate Danimal. And thank you, WF for Omega. Totally appreciate that. Emma Ammo, almost forgot the reason we're here just to draft. Yes, let's get into another draft. But I really appreciate all the feedback and comments. And I think there's any regular format, like the 0 RB works sometimes, the hyper fragile, the robust, like we've seen it all work. Not stacking, not correlating week 17. We've seen everything work. And I think it's the same here. It's just you have to have quarterbacks. And I think if you were doing it, Peppertoni, you're not saying wait till round 6 to take a quarterback. I think you would, my guess is taking them rounds 2 through 4 to get a couple guys for sure. And, I just do want to acknowledge that there's a right way to do it in any format and to have any kind of build. And I think that's the same truth here. It's just that to me is a thinner build just because you had to get the guy right. All right, let's get into the next one. Counting down in 10 seconds, Aaron, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, we are still waiting on 5 people here. Everyone better pick round 1 wide receiver now. We got Hulk in here. Good to see you. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. Did you review that last draft? Yeah, I did. I did Aiden and I's team, Mike. I think I did. I mean, have I lost my mind that much? 43, not 83. How many likes for a third on your birthday? I don't know about today. Good news is this tournament will be around for a while, so I'll be doing this plenty, and I will have some streams where I do 3 or 4 drafts. Probably not today. All right, so Aiden's got the 101. So Aiden's definitely taking receiver 101. No, we got Danimal in here. I'm in the 8th spot. We got JT in here. Let me know if anyone else jumped in. Appreciate you all. I've been doing some wait till round 4 on quarterback teams, and those honestly look the best so far. Interesting. Now, what are the builds? Are they 3 running backs in a row? Are they 2 running backs and a receiver? Are they 2 receivers? Oh, this is only draft 2. Holy, no more wide receiver talk. Typically, the latest I take quarterback is round 3 at the end, the first for a double lead skill. And I do think that is, like, we saw the team in the 12 hole, and it was 2 running backs, but doing running back receiver there, like, yeah, I think he took Christian McCaffrey and Genty. Like, if he did McCaffrey and Amon-Ra, I don't think I would like bat an eye at that, especially if he jumped back in and got his quarterback. So I'm so tempted to take Chase, but no, I'm actually going to take Drake May. I mean, Drake May has, yeah, honestly, quarterback 1 upside, but I'm not going to be shocked if Drake May's quarterback 2. He was quarterback 2 last year. Patriots should have a tougher schedule. He should have more weapons and another year in the offense, all these things. And with the tougher schedule, he should be throwing the ball more. He had games last year. I think it was the Panthers game. He threw the ball 17 times. I think he threw the ball 3 times in the second half, something like that. Tough to, and he had an okay fantasy day. I think he maybe had a rushing touchdown that day. But his ceiling can just be so much higher going forward. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. Last season, I hammered quarterbacks nonstop early, but this season I want to find balance. Yeah. No, and I mean last year the elites, with the exception of Josh Allen and Hurts, but Hurts had a down year. The elites were all injured, and that was a big factor. You know, even if Lamar or Daniels or Burrow had more, like their above average years, them missing that time did really factor into things. Great. Let's see what it gets back to me. Caleb goes, I will take Dak here. And yeah, we'll see how I put this together, but I like Dak a lot. When healthy, this guy is just year in, year out, like a top 6 quarterback. Last year was quarterback 5. It feels pretty good to get as my, potentially, if this was last year, quarterback 2 and 5. I think I'm going to be pretty good at quarterback in Superflex points. They need to stay healthy. They need, everything else to occur. I think that's very fair. Jamar Chase staring down my soul. Yeah. Caught the tail end of that convo. My last draft had Sack in it, and his first quarterback was DJ. Curious to see how it does. Ooh, how many quarterbacks did he go with? I just think you're really losing points at that point. Like in a regular format, you go DJ, Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers. You know, it's thin. You're behind at quarterback, no doubt, but you have 3 guys to compete for the Josh Allen teams, for the Lamar teams, for the, you know, even the 2-man combos. Here, I don't know. I just think you're conceding quite a bit of points. Because it's not only is Mahomes likely these 2 guys filling, you know, for Aiden's team, quarterback and Superflex, but now his quarterback score is going to be higher because he's going to have his own good backup option. Go Saquon. I think Saquon, Hampton, Chase Brown. The Malik Neighbors stuff, talked about with Lutz and Who Ames the other day. I just, you know, I now have them in this format as well. Until I get some better reports on Neighbors, my percentage is going to be underweight. Not going to be 0, not going to be full fade, but to me, I'm going to be underweight. When I do that, I find myself getting 2 of like Purdy, Goff, Stafford, Murray, Love, Baker. Yeah, and I think that can work. And particularly if you get a 3rd starter as well. He's got a cocktail waiting today. Yeah. No, definitely plan on having some nice bourbon tonight. Elite wide receiver 2 running back. That's interesting. It's just like the draft I just did. I think waiting to around, you know, when 17 quarterbacks are going off the board in the first 3 rounds, that's just tough. But I think it all depends on the draft, of course. So here, you know, like I said, I don't need to overreach for a stack, but Pickens just a few picks away. We'll take it. Get a stack. I think Pickens is going to stay in Dallas. I don't worry too much about that. And while Love or Jacobs, I think, are very strong picks in their own right, or some of those other receivers, you know, that's about as far as I'd go to push for a stack. Finally got the 1 in Allen. Yeah, so far in my slows, I gotten 1 Allen, a lot in the Jaden Burrow range. I'm trying to do it because quarterback isn't pushed up yet, so maximize value. No, I get that. Like I think we will see quarterbacks pushed up more and more. And I'm sure, particularly in like non-stream drafts, it's easier to get starters to fall to like the 5th, 6th round a bit more. Certain quarterbacks, that is. Bryce Young, big value right now. Appreciate that, Fantasy Dog. Does anyone have the winning lineup from last year? BBMD doesn't seem to have it anymore. I think Mike Robb might. I feel like Superflex kind of exposes Josh Allen's overpriced in normal format, but everyone happy to take the other 3 right next to him here in Superflex. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's such a different animal. Like the difference is all those other 3 are going to just outproduce basically any, or next 6, you know, they're going to produce just about any receiver or running back score. And then now there's the scarcity. Like I said, like you wait on quarterback, even to like take Baker, Stroud, and Bryce Young. Like, do I think you're going to, in a normal format, compete with Josh Allen? not entirely. You should be behind at quarterback score. Take another Sam Darnold just to lock that up. You'll be behind a quarterback score, but you could be fourth in your pod in quarterback points. You go those three guys, you're going to be so far behind in points, because not just Josh Allen, but Superflex as well. But 1-for-1, you might expect to see Gibbs, Bijan go over Lamar and JD occasionally. Are there? Yeah, I mean, if Lamar gets hurt again, Gibbs or Bijan. Same with any of these other guys. But I do think the scarcity is a factor quite a bit. I don't think overly pushing up running back and receiver is going to pay off too often. Just because getting behind a quarterback now means you're behind at two positions, is the way I see it. Be the same kind of thing. I mean, less so because they score less points. But like if we had to start two tight ends, then Bowers and McBride take a bigger value, 100%. Take Travion here. It's a team stack. Betting on the Patriots, feels good if the coaching situation's okay. Running back, DJ, Gino, Mendoza, Penix back. Yeah, I mean, maybe you cobble together enough starts. I mean, DJ coming off a broken fibula and I always forget it. I think it was Achilles. Is your most likely guy to start 17 games? That's an interesting build. I do agree. It's a different fun format. I think you can be creative with it. And I think that was Huhaim's point. Fancy dog. So Steve's 43, Meg is around 32. Just what I thought. Love you, Meg. I got bum-hunted by Megan Superflex slows last night. Yeah. Looking at some of my pods, last year, one team that finished first only had 200 points from all their quarterbacks. It was a JT CMC start. I mean, again, there's not, it's not impossible. And last year, I will say, quarterback points just had to be less. There were so many. I mean, remember, we got to week 8 last year, not just because of the 6 buys, but it was like 16 of the starting quarterbacks. There were 6 buys. So it was like 9 or 10 other quarterbacks of the starting week 1 quarterbacks were not playing that week. It's like Burrow, Lamar, Daniels, Fields, I think. Purdy, etc. JJ McCarthy, which was probably a blessing in disguise. But, you had something crazy with that for quarterbacks. We do see a fair number of quarterback injuries every year, but last year was one of the more extreme years. And so it hurt the Superflex bags the most. And for the teams that did pivot away from like some of those double elites and stuff, probably did pay off. Give me Mike Evans. Give me a outside of last year, like a year in, year out, top 10 wide receiver guy, top 15 for sure. So I got my 3 starters, got 2 running backs. This might even end up being like an 8 running back team. I do think I need to catch up more there. But I like having Pickens, Evans as a combo. Top regular season team last year had Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Lawrence. So round 3 quarterback, and then later ones also had CMC and Gibbs. Bayou, Weeby, Swamp, and Dog. I mean, again, like normally when I'm taking positions other than quarterback, it will be running back. before I get to the quarterback market. But there can be ways to do the Puka chase, Amon-Ra types. So Tuden goes, that's fine. We take another top 10 wide receiver. This might almost assuredly be a 6 wide receiver team with taking these 3. And I'll get back to the board. A wild week. Hate doing that jet stack, but Garrett's sliding slightly and need that third quarterback plus division correlation. We roll. I get it. Jeff, cool. You have some Blantons. Do I have any Blantons left? Blantons is not easy to come by in Virginia, unfortunately. But Blantons is damn good bourbon. Quarterback was over-injured in 2025. Top 12 running back had a usually good health. Yeah, it was a very odd year for that. For sure, kind of in both cases. Like a couple years ago, the year that 0RB won BBM. I mean, you still Christian McCaffrey being the GOAT, but then your other top running backs were like Raheem Mostert, Kyron Williams, etc., who were not drafted early. That I'm sure was a super flex where you'd probably want 2 elites because more elite quarterbacks stayed healthy that year. So it can be a year by year thing for sure. And that's something we should keep in mind in every format. And that's why I like, I'm not a 0 RB drafter in regular, but I will have some 0 RB teams. The team I did the other day started 5 wide receivers. I need to catch up at running back, so let's take Dobbins here. I'm kind of fine with any of these receivers as my 4th. If a running back falls, not Harvey, but another running back falls, I'll consider it as well. So I think the other thing for me is like being essentially done with my quarterbacks by round 5. Then I'm not having to take a Shedeur Sanders, not having to take Michael Penix again. Will I do it sometimes? Absolutely. But these guys who maybe only get a couple starts, I can get those guys in the 19th, 20th round. I feel like at least. And they're my 4th or 5th quarterback at that case, where the guys I'm taking here are not just starters, but they can be good starters. These running backs, Godwin, Harrison, Brian Thomas, etc. That's kind of how I feel. Like I want to be more secure by this 8, 9, 10 rounds. So I'm not taking these quarterbacks who could be straight zeros. Shedeur, Michael Penix, there's a path for them to be an absolute 0, and not even injury related. I mean, just they never start. Tua stays healthy, Tua plays well enough, etc. So I'm on the clock. Running back's a little thin, but let's finish off. Not finish off, but get another. If we're only going to do 6. Let's have 4 I feel really good about. Even starting out 2 quarterbacks, that's a great point, Steve. If you take a 3rd starter late, to go Shedeur over Godwin because of structure. Yeah, and again, not saying never do it, but I just want those to be a far less percentage on my portfolio. Let's say I'm going to do at least 150, but let's say I have 200 Superflex teams. I just don't want to be, I don't don't want to have 10% Shador and hell, I don't want to have 8, probably even 5%. Even though quarterbacks are more valuable, I would rather have a higher percentage of Marcus Mariota and Joe Flacco than guys like Shador and Michael Penix and these other risks in these rounds. It's just too expensive for what they could be. Like Carson Beck going 173, that to me is just wrong. Now, if Jacoby Brissett continues to hold out, maybe it becomes right. But to me, there's no way, like these quarterbacks we're taking now have almost no chance of being a full-time starter. And so if we're just getting 5-6 weeks, I can find some of those guys later. And if those guys end up being a zero, Marcus Mariota is a zero because Jane Daniels plays all year, or Tyler Huntley's a zero because Lamar plays all year, okay, I'm fine. I'm not going to be upset that my 19th round pick or 20th round pick is a zero. Let's see here. Could take Romeo Dubs for the stack. You know what? I know AJ Brown's coming, but let's do it. That's my 5th receiver. I think I'm just going to take one more. It'll probably be very late at this point. And we're going to throw volume at running back. We'll hit tight end as well. We'll just try and stack up volume in these next few rounds. Yeah, I mean, Beck will probably start in the playoffs. I get that. Still, 173 feels rich. I mean, in part because I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan. I think he's a fine backup quarterback. I don't think he's got much starting capability. Like Riley Leonard was, didn't start in the playoffs, but could have because of the injury. I don't think we would have gotten a lot of points from it. But yes, any starter is viable. I mean, the Harvey fall is getting tempting. Okay, he goes. Take Jordan Mason here. X was his quarterback 4. Why not? Why not that late? Yeah. I mean, as long as you're a quarterback 4, for sure. I think if you have 3 really good ones. Now, if he's your quarterback 4, and I guess you could say if it's like you take Brissett 3 and him 4, okay, maybe. If it's like Tua and Beck or Sanders and Beck, something like that, I'd like that a lot less. In 170s, I guess my thing would be, you just look in the 170s, and I only have 2 positions. Well, now I have everything highlighted because I went off screen, but 170s, we're talking, starting tight ends. We're talking what should be starting wide receivers. I mean, Steph Diggs was a top 20 wide receiver last year. We'll see where he lands. Jalen Naylor can be fine. We're talking about good handcuff running backs, and not just handcuff. I mean, Brian Robinson has the Tyler Algier role. That can be pretty valuable. So, I guess I would like to see it more in the 180s, 190s. But I get it. I just probably won't have a lot of Carson Beck until we hear more resolution on the Jacoby Brissett thing. Yeah. Harvey fell, which he should. He really needs to start falling. Not easy anywhere. you think Justin Herbert is a good first-round pick for Superflex? I actually do. I mean, Herbert is a guy who years ago was top 3 quarterback. The year he got injured, I think he was quarterback where he got injured week 14 through 13 weeks of the season. He was, I think, quarterback 6. And of course, he got injured and missed the rest of the year. But I want to make this pick. So running back or tight end is where I'm at. I think I might be going tight end. I mean, Algier, I think, we're getting to the range of Algier being fine. But let's take Dallas Goedert. So, and then, last year, I think they've upgraded their offensive system with Mike McDaniel. But even last year, if Slater and Joe Alt had stayed healthy, and Slater didn't play a single game, but especially noticeable once Joe Alt went out as well, he just did not have the time. It was just not good. He still had a couple of big weeks, like that Dallas game late, a few others. But I think you give him protection, and then they've also increased their internal protection with Tyler Biotish, Jake Slater, some other guys. I think there's more weapons now. I think they can be more multiple with a fullback and things of that nature. I just think, Justin Herbert he could do what Stafford did, and he's got rushing upside. He really can run a decent clip, like not at the premier level of quarterbacks, but in that 400 to 500 yards, 3 to 5 touchdowns sort of range. So once again, take Henry. It's a stack. Be done at tight end. Running back's going to be basically the focus from here on out. Yeah, Harvey does need to be around there. Honestly, I think he should be around there in regular, so even Superflex, I push him down more. But I wish Tyler Algier could be RB1. Yeah, fortunately not anymore. Jeremiah Love has definitely hurt those Algier bags quite a bit. I mean, there's still going to be a role for him, but even in regular, he should be going in like the 130s, 140s. So probably will take a quarterback late, and whether it's a clear backup, like a Joe Milton, I think is a fair thing, or somebody else's backup. I'll probably target 19th, 20th round. I think I'd go 8 running backs for this. So I only have 4. I think I'm done at tight end. Goddard, Henry feels good. Like 5 receivers, just tacking on 1 more, I think we'll be totally fine. That can be a later click. Yeah, nobody jumping off the table at these other positions. Juwan Johnson still being there, good value, but fine just stacking up some running backs going forward. Brian Robinson goes. Man, Hanky will ruin the Giants. Oof. Let's hope not for the Scatterboo shares. I actually like what they're doing, really improving the O-line. Probably a lot more 2 tight end sets at a fullback. Should be really good for Scatterboo and company. Not exactly the running back guys I'm looking for, but let's go Dylan Sampson. Hopefully year 2 is a little bit better, but it probably has a clear number 2 role in the team. passing down role. Judkins has never been that great. Malkin has historically liked separating those backs, but even going back to college when he'd run a rotation. And, they fixed their O-line a bit. And also Judkins is coming off the injury, and his was, a month, 6 weeks later than Scadaboo's. So, and a very similar injury. So I never want to be too overweight on Browns, but Dylan Sampson, even in regular, feels like a fine late round running back. It's the second time I've seen Terrence Ferguson in this range. That just feels a little high for me, given him adding Max Clare. There are still tight ends like Jamal Johnson and A.J. Barner out there. I think Gunnar Helm, they did not add a tight end. Same with Kate Otten. I think both these guys should go ahead of Eli Stowers, no question. Devo is such great value here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think given my build, I can wait. Okay, won't be taking Charbonnet. Johnson, I think, is fine. But I'm going to go Katron Allen. I think he's going to carve out quite the role for Washington. So let me get back to the board. Now, Aiden, are you saying in Superflex or in general? In Superflex, I get it because, again, wide receivers are deprioritized with only needing to start 2. So like those kind of receivers who are, like clear wide receiver 3s on your team, they still should be drafted, obviously, in 20-round format, but they just don't take near the priority because there's only there. Like theoretically, they could still fill 4 different spots, the 2 wide receivers, the flex or the super flex, but it's way less likely those guys are hitting your flex or super flex. So they're only going to kind of fill in when you're top, you have multiple receivers on bye or injury type thing. And having 1 or 2 of those guys is fine. Like my last draft, I took Cooper Kupp. I think I view him in this kind of the same regard. Like Tesla's probably the same sort of thing. He's likely not going to have a 20-point game. He'll probably have 3 to 6, 10 to 15-point games. So, like, I would, and I know he wasn't on, Danimal took him before. I would easily be taking Debo over Tesla just because just about anywhere he signs, he should have a better role. I mean, there's a few places where he'd be a clear wide receiver 3, similar to Tesla, but of course he has got a greater upside, has the rushing ability, etc. But there's just massive surplus value potential where Tesla's just kind of like, I don't think he's a bust, I think it's unlikely he becomes a bust or anything like that, but I do think there's just very minimal surplus value, particularly in Superflex. Got Brett Nichols in here. Good afternoon, gents. Good to see you. And was hoping Katron fell to me. Damn. Yeah, he's a riser. Love him where he's at right now. Yeah. No, I need to be getting him more in regular, more in this. I want to have a pretty solid bag of him for sure. I was debating between Kamara and Allen. JT took Kamara, so that made my decision for me. we will take. I'll take Vidal. I'm still more of a believer in Vidal than I think most people are. You know, the Mike McDaniel, super excited for Keaton Mitchell. I think Mitchell's a 5-touch a game guy. And even if Hampton were to miss time, he's a 7-touch game per guy. Like he's just not going to see a massive role jump, like relative to what his role is, yes. But he's not going to gain any sort of feature back upside. Where a guy like Vidal, I want Hampton to miss time, but Hampton misses time, Vidal now becomes potentially a 15 to 20 touch guy. Gonna take receiver here. I'm gonna take Antonio Williams. I wish I knew where Kayshon Boutte would go. If he gets a solid landing spot, he could be pretty good. Doesn't sound like he'll be still New England. Sounds like they probably want to trade him. But only going 6, I think Antonio Williams feels kind of safe. You know, kind of like what Tesla was last year, right? Like 3rd round pick, clear path to be the number 3 receiver. Right now, Washington doesn't need to have number 2, so maybe there's a bit more surplus value there open to him as well. Quid saying 5 touches, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people want that with Mitchell. And look, I think Mike McDaniel will get him a game or two where we're like, damn, he does do not 3 touchdowns, but like he's got a 7-touch game and 2 touchdowns and 80 total yards. You know, I just wish he was more of a pass catcher. He's not really that good of a pass catching back. So I just think it limits his ability to get on the field in more situations. Ideally, that kind of back, you'd love to be a good pass catcher. Like look at an undersized back like Dion Lewis back in the day. He was a great pass catcher. So it'd help get him on the field. Appreciate it, Quid. All right. Another one, Darren Sproles, great out of the backfield receiving. Just that is not Mitchell. All right, coming up here, I think I'm going just probably one more running back, one more quarterback. And I'll be pretty happy with that team. So of this group, not really. I think Trey Lance is fine. Tyson Badgett. Like I said, Joe Milton, Tyler Huntley. I mean, Davis Mills, we saw last year. Stidham, I don't know. I mean, Stidham, I think should go higher. Yeah, let me lock up the Dallas room. You know, Dak, unfortunately, has had his injury history. I think I could make a case for any of those guys, but I think mixing in all these types of guys who are pretty clear number 2s is a good strategy. But like, it's tough for like a Jalen Milroe, because if Darnold misses time, it's probably going to be Drew Lock. We'll see what the camp battle shows. Maybe Milroe overtakes him, but don't know if it's a guarantee. Oh, thank you so much, WF Omega. Happy birthday, Steve. How much work do you see Tyron Tracy getting? I think more than some think. Don't tell Meg. How about the birthday guy? Cheers. Thank you so much. Tyron Tracy, I kind of see this being a 60-40 role. Devin Singletary will probably mix in slightly as well. I mean, we saw it even when Sky Blue went down. Singletary was getting a lot more of the work than Tracy for a long time, and then Singletary got banged up, and Tracy, had some really nice games there at the end. But I kind of see it as, I think Scadaboo can consolidate about 60% of the work. He will get more passing than if this was, say, Quinshon Judkins and Tracy, I think Tracy could have more of a path in the passing game. Fortunately, Scadaboo is probably the better receiving back. I'm on the clock, so I should pay attention. Correct. And that didn't work out. I think I took Jared Stidham. No, Chris Brazell. Okay. Not ideal. No, 4-7-7-2. I think this build still works. Running back's a little thinner than I like. There was not much left there. I probably would take an Ollie Gordon again. I'm not sure where Ollie Gordon's going to late, or Naj. Running back really thins out, as one would expect, particularly in 20-round format. But no, to finish it off, do I think Tracy would be better served with him and Quinshon Judkins, or him and Chris Rodriguez, or even the Bayshell Tootin of that side? Yeah, because those guys just don't have a big passing game upside. So he could really consolidate that side of it. Overall, I think he's solid, and where he's going, I think he's still value, because I think people are just pushing him down so much because of the Jeremiah Love rumors. But I think he's capped. He's not gonna have a red zone role, and we saw this last year when Scadaboo went down. It was Jackson Dart, but even when it wasn't, it was more Devin Singletary. So he's not gonna have a red zone. And when I say red zone, I mean particularly inside the 10, inside the 5. So he's not really going to have that. Passing, it's going to be way more split than he wants it to be. But yeah, I mean, I think he's fine in that range where you go, and a little higher, 120 to 140. Him versus Woody Marks, him versus some of these other guys. I think very, very defensible. Mintu makes fun of pick, like the Brennan Thompson pick. But let me see. And this is obviously Superflex. But he goes, let's see, Tyron Tracy. He goes ahead of Rashard White. I'd probably flip those. But I mean, this is right in the range that I think he's good at. Him versus Woody Marks, him versus Aaron Jones, or some of these other guys. I think he's very fine in that range. I question, without another Scadaboo injury, there's much more of a ceiling. And some of these guys, I think, have more ceiling with or without injury. And definitely with injury. I think in Aaron Jones, if Jordan Mason were to get injured, now Aaron Jones is obviously the more likely one to get injured. I think Aaron Jones would have more of a ceiling, albeit him with his own injury risk. Tyler Algier obviously has way more of a ceiling, but I think he's fine in this type of range, and is a nice, ideally your fourth back in regular and fourth or fifth in Superflex. I don't think you generally want him to be your third running back in builds, is how I'd put it. Let me catch up with chat, and then we will look at some things. We got Goofy Chicken. What up, drafters? Hey, Steve. Hope you're doing well, Goofy Chicken. Structured conversation might have been 45 minutes since two drafts averaged 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah, but it's a good combo, and especially for a newer format. Quid Pro Quo went 0 for 150 to cash in Superflex last year. First ever draft Superflex. Been thinking about it a fair amount lately. Thanks for the insight. Appreciate that, Quid. Yeah, and like I said, we'll be doing more and more of this as well. Thanks for the good info. Appreciate that. Danimal, WFR Mega. Now that's an explanation. Cheers and happy birthday, dog. Appreciate you, Mega. And thank you again, everyone, for joining. I will go over the teams. I just want to say thank you so much for joining. The birthday wishes, super chats, of course. Thank you to our YouTube members. Thank you for just watching, for subbing, for being in these drafts with me. Honestly, for the comments, I enjoy talking ball, talking best ball quite a bit, as I think you guys probably gather. So I just want to say thank you. It's my birthday, but I like to appreciate those who support me throughout the year, and this community supports me. I enjoy best ball so much. I enjoy talking it every day. So I just want to give a real shout out and thank you to everyone. And, please come back every day. I'm streaming. Meg and I will have our Thursday show. We'll have our members only show on Sundays. And of course, we have our free Discord channel. So jump in there. We talk there as well. And it's just this summer, of course, just getting started. So thank you all so much. Let me review these couple teams that are in here, and we will get out of here for the day. But I just want to make sure I took that time to thank everyone. So I think from a YouTube member standpoint, is Minsu, JT, and of course myself. We did have Danimal in here, so I just want to look at how his build was. 4673 Bijan ASB. So he did the double elites at other positions, and this is where I think it can pay off. How it's done. I don't know if I go Bowers again. I have some questions there, but I get him wanting one of each, maybe elites at other positions, but Bijan and ASB, to me, this is how it pays off, is potentially RB1, and let's just pencil in ASB for wide receiver 3 since he's done it the last 3 years. So quarterbacks, he still gets, Rodgers and Brissett. So if those guys are starters, he's probably covered. But I as much as we talked about so much later, I actually like it this way. Potentially elite RB1 and then top 3 receiver, because we just know that's where he's at. Sure, I probably would have done a quarterback versus Bowers. I know it kind of got thinned out, so maybe you wanted Willis or Shuck, because it really thinned out here. So I do get that, because I took the next one at Darnold and Stroud. But anyways, appreciate that. I will go over my team and 2 Fanspeak members in here. I do May, Prescott, Darnold, tacked on Joe Milton. Hopefully he remains the backup in Dallas. Saquon, Trevion, J.K. Dobbins, Jordan Mason, Dylan Sampson, Katron Allen, and Kamani Vidal. Thinner at running back than I generally like. I need my Superflex to be coming from my quarterback position, because I don't think I can rely on it too much from this running back room. I'm covering 2, and then hopefully these guys are in my flex with the receivers. So yeah, I did go more wide receiver heavy. Pickens, Evans, Adams, Alec Pierce, Romeo Dubs. Now Dubs is probably falling, especially once AJ Brown gets there. But even when he falls, I think he should be in a regular draft, still, in the top 110, 115 picks. I don't think he should go behind Jalen Coker type. Dobbs is more touchdown upside. It's a better offense for a quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. So I like this top 5 wide receivers. Obviously, some stacks in there as well. Tacked on Antonio Williams as the late flyer. Did not mean the Christopher Zell pick, but I don't hate it. So thankfully there, since I don't have Superflex rankings up yet, I'm glad it wasn't somebody I totally hate. And then just 2 tight ends. Most of my Superflex teams will be 2 tight ends, some 3. But double tapping in this range of Goddard and Henry, both have top 10 tight end viability. And even if they don't have it, if they're tight end 12 and 14, I'm probably fine. Let's look at Aiden's team. He had the one hole. Allen, Mahomes took Geno, and then Jameis. Like I said before, I think the Jameis pick is one of the better late clicks out there. Kenneth Walker, Kyron, Travis Etienne, Rico Dowdle, very strong top 4 running backs. Tack on JCM, Ray Davis, JCM, probably a 3-man backfield in Washington. But yeah, especially at 145, that's where I get interested in JCM. Like 122, I'm less bullish on it. I know some people are more bullish, but it's not going to shock me if Kaytron Allen just is the far better value given their ADPs. Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, Jordan Addison, Michael Pittman Jr., Xavier Worthy. So this is kind of the same, like 5 receivers in a normal draft in the top 100. Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, is that a thinner wide receiver start? Sure, but if you did this in a regular format, then people would question it slightly and would probably want the Addison pick to be a little bit better. But I think you're still fine. Skylar Bell, Brennan Thompson. I'm a little less, I don't love the landing spot for Skylar Bell because I think he's clearly behind Shakir, Brennan Thompson, but his late round clicks, and I know you had Josh Allen, so there's that kind of pool there. I really like the Brennan Thompson click. I think for a 4th rounder, I just don't know if QJ really fits Mike McDaniel's offense. So I think Brennan Thompson could really push for more time this year. Then TJ Hawkinson, Dalton Schultz, AJ Barner. Late tight end, this is where I go 3. Take these 3. And yeah, I think you're doing pretty well at tight end. And then we had JT, who was at the opposite end at the 12 spot, 4682. Baker, Daniel Jones, Tua, Riley Leonard. So handcuffing the Colts room, I think that's a good way to do it, particularly with Daniel Jones. Is JT, so a real big Colts stack. Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Kenneth Gainwell, Alvin Kamara, Jordan James, also handcuffing potentially if he can hold off Kalen Black, the 49ers room. So I like that as well. Receivers, yeah, they're going to look thinner on paper. Chris Godwin, Josh Downs, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Millen, Denzel Boston, Trey Tucker, Christian Kirk, Deshaun Stribling. So kind of handcuffing the 49ers wide receiver 3 as well. Colson Loveland, Tyler Warren. Definitely stopping at 2 there. I love both those tight ends. I think in Superflex, that's a bit of capital to spend on the position. I think if one of those more had been a wide receiver, and then you take, a tight end, where McMillan went or Jaden Higgins went, I think you would have still been just as fine. But again, mixing up some builds, I think is a strong approach to do it. And overall, the receiver room's a little thinner, but Godwin can be we know his upside. Josh Downs now with Pittman gone, hopefully he's taking on a bigger role. Hopefully all these guys are taking on bigger roles. It's just, there's not a lot of reliability there. The good news is your running back room is strong enough. You should cover your flex every week, help out with Superflex when it has to. So you just need 2 of these wide receivers to hit. That's all it's going to take. And you should dominate tight end points for sure. So anyways, thank you guys. And I know it's stacked up with Daniel Jones with that side of it as well. But I just want to thank you guys again for being here, all the support. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Let me hit up these last chat comments and then we'll get out of here. Real recognize real, my man. Appreciate that. Thank you, Omega. Thank you, Steve. Make sure you enjoy the rest of your birthday after the stream ends. I plan on it. Hopefully have a nice, generally relaxing day, doing some drafts, good food, bourbon, etc. Would have loved Danimal's team so much more if Willis fell. Yeah. If that's where he's going, I think that could have been just a home run. Fade the tequila shooters. Me and tequila don't mix too much. Appreciate it, Danimal. Always happy to help. Justin Simmons retired, by the way. Interesting. A-Rich or Riley up next? I still think they try and trade A Rich, would be my guess. I just think they don't want the distraction. So, my guess is the Colts still try and trade A Rich. The rumors were A Rich wants out as well, which I get. And so right now on paper, they released the depth chart. Richardson might be second, but it's not going to shock me if he's gone and Riley Leonard is. So thank you, everyone. And yes, peace. Good to see everyone in here. Everyone has a great rest of the day. I will catch you next time.